The Galactic Council was about to learn a harsh lesson. Never underestimate the tenacity, grit, and sheer determination of the human spirit, especially when countless lives hang in the balance. 35-year-old Human Special Forces operative Adam Hicks strode into the Grand Galactic Council chamber on Zephyrus Prime, his combat boots echoing on the polished marble floor. The urgency of the summons suggested a dire situation, and the grim visage of the Council's 7-foot Talaxian High Commander Uko confirmed Hicks's suspicions. "Zorgax has the Nexus Orb," Uko stated bluntly, his deep voice reverberating through the cavernous room. "The rogue warlord raided our vault, stole the artifact and fled. He's already used its power to annihilate an entire Talaxian colony. Over 50,000 dead." Hicks clenched his jaw. The Nexus Orb, an ancient relic that allowed its wielder to manipulate matter itself, was now a WMD in the hands of a genocidal madman. And in the chaotic frontier of the Outer Rim, Zorgax could be anywhere. "This is a human problem now. You're the only one with the skills to infiltrate Zorgax's lair, retrieve the orb, and bring that bastard to justice, dead or alive," Uko said, handing Hicks a data chip with the mission brief. "Your team is prepped, and your ship is fueled. The fate of billions rests on your shoulders. Good hunting, Special Forces." As Hicks marched towards the hangar, he reviewed the dossiers of his hand-picked squad. Jack Reeves, his oldest friend and a demolition savant; Ixos, a Talaxian tech specialist who could hack any system; and Zax, a Krellian marksman whose aim was legendary. A ghost ship, a renegade warlord, and a doomsday weapon. The odds were stacked against them, but when weren't they? Hicks cracked his knuckles as he boarded the sleek stealth ship, the SS Phantom. Time to show the galaxy what humans were made of. The Phantom drifted through the dangerous asteroid field, its skilled pilot weaving between the tumbling rocks. Adam sat in the co-pilot's chair, monitoring incoming transmissions. Suddenly, a distress call crackled through the speakers. A Talaxian outpost under attack by Zorgax's forces. He slammed his fist on the console. They were close. "Change course, get us there fast," he barked. The ship banked hard, engines roaring, but as they dropped out of FTL, their hearts sank. The outpost was a smoking ruin, bodies and debris floating in the vacuum. They were too late. Ixos ran a scan, his face grim. No life signs. Zorgax's men took everything of value and left none alive. Adam punched the wall in frustration, then took a breath. "We need to know what they stole. Dock with the outpost, see what you can find in their records." As the Phantom latched onto the shattered hull, the team moved through the eerie silence of the ravaged corridors. In the damaged server room, Ixos worked frantically, his fingers flying across the interface. "I've got something, Adam. They didn't just raid for supplies. Zorgax took an experimental Talaxian AI core. With that kind of processing power, he could fully unlock the orb." Zax swore under his breath. If he can manipulate matter on that scale, he'll be unstoppable. Adam's face was like stone. "Then we stop him first, but we're running out of time. Ixos, you and Zax head to Krellis, tap your black market contacts, find out everything about this AI's capabilities." Ixos nodded. "And you?" "Jack and I will keep after Zorgax. We've got a lead on his location, an abandoned mine on Xandar Prime. Move fast and watch your backs. Go!" As the Phantom dropped Ixos and Zax on Krellis, Adam pushed the engines to their limit. Failure was not an option, but as they entered orbit over Xandar Prime, a volley of rockets slammed into their shields. A swarm of mercenary fighters screamed towards them, guns blazing. Adam wrenched the ship into evasive maneuvers, gritting his teeth. "Looks like Zorgax left us a welcoming party." Jack sprinted to the weapon controls. "Then let's return the favor." Autocannons roared as Adam dove the ship towards Xandar's scarred surface, the enemy fighters in hot pursuit. G-forces slammed them into their seats as they jinked and rolled, Jack's shots finding their marks. But there were too many. "Damn it, we can't take much more of this," Adam yelled over the screech of straining metal. Jack's eyes narrowed as he punched a command into his console. "Get us low, buy me a few seconds." The Phantom hugged the craggy terrain, Adam pushing the ship to its limits. Suddenly, Jack slammed his fist on the release. "Deploying mines!" A dozen glittering orbs shot from the Phantom's undercarriage, the mercenaries too close to evade. Blinding fireballs lit the sky as their pursuers vanished in plumes of shattered metal. Adam let out a whoop of triumph, then banked towards the mining complex. As they leapt from the Phantom, weapons ready, Ixos' voice crackled over the comm. "Adam, we've got a problem. That AI Zorgax stole, it's a planet killer. If he integrates it with the orb, he'll have the power to rip worlds apart at the molecular level." Adam and Jack burst into the central chamber of the abandoned mining facility, weapons drawn. Zorgax stood before them, the Nexus orb pulsing with an eerie light as he fused it with the stolen Talaxian AI core. The warlord spun to face them, his eyes widening in surprise. "Humans, how did you find me so quickly?" Adam leveled his plasma rifle at Zorgax's chest. "It's over, Zorgax. Hand over the orb and come quietly." Zorgax laughed, a cold, cruel sound that echoed through the cavernous room. "You're too late. With this power I will reshape the galaxy as I see fit, starting with the destruction of your precious Galactic Council." He raised the orb, tendrils of energy snaking out to wrap around his arm. The ground shook as Zorgax tapped into the orb's might, ripping chunks of rock from the walls and hurling them at the humans. Adam and Jack dove for cover, their enhanced reflexes and high-tech armor allowing them to dodge the deadly projectiles. They returned fire, plasma bolts sizzling through the air, but Zorgax deflected them with a wave of his hand, the orb's power growing stronger by the second. Gravitational anomalies rippled through the chamber, sending equipment and debris flying. Adam gritted his teeth as he fought against the crushing force, struggling to keep his footing. "We need to get closer," he shouted to Jack over the roar of twisting metal. They pushed forward, ducking and weaving through the maelstrom, their armor absorbing glancing blows from the whirling debris. Step by step, they closed in on Zorgax, determination etched on their faces. But the warlord was not finished. With a roar of fury, he unleashed a searing wave of energy that slammed into Adam and Jack like a runaway freight train. They flew backwards, crashing into the unforgiving rock wall. Adam shook his head to clear the stars from his vision, then looked over at Jack. His friend was slumped against the wall, his armor smoking and sparking from the impact. "Jack!" Adam called out, but there was no response. Zorgax's laughter filled the air as he advanced on the fallen humans, the orb's power swirling around him like a cloak. "Pathetic. Is this the best your species has to offer?" Adam's jaw clenched as he staggered to his feet. Jack was down, maybe dead, and Zorgax was growing stronger with each passing moment. He needed a new plan, and fast. His eyes fell on his suit's phase shift control, an experimental technology that would let him pass through solid matter for brief periods. It was risky, untested in combat, but what choice did he have? Adam activated the phase shift, feeling a tingling sensation sweep over his body as his molecules destabilized. He charged at Zorgax, passing through the warlord's energy barriers as if they were nothing more than air. Before Zorgax could react, Adam phased back into solidity, slamming his fist into the warlord's jaw with all his strength. Zorgax reeled back, stunned by the blow, and Adam seized his chance. He lunged for the Nexus orb, his fingers closing around its smooth surface. Power surged through him, raw and untamed, flooding his mind with knowledge beyond human comprehension. The AI core, not yet fully integrated, poured its digital consciousness into Adam's thoughts, an overwhelming cascade of data and energy. Adam screamed, his body convulsing as the orb's might threatened to tear him apart from within. He could feel himself losing control, his mind drowning in the tide of power. Through the haze of pain he heard a shout, then the high-pitched whine of an EMP grenade. The world went white as the grenade detonated, the electromagnetic pulse washing over Adam and the orb. For a moment, the connection between Adam and the artifact severed. The AI core's presence ripped from his thoughts. Adam gasped, his vision clearing, and he realized Jack was standing beside him, a smoking grenade launcher in his hands. "Adam, you all right?" Jack asked, his voice tight with pain and concern. Adam nodded, his grip tightening on the Nexus orb. The EMP had bought them a precious few seconds, but he could already feel the orb's power building once more, straining against his control. Adam wasted no time. With the orb's power momentarily subdued, he pried open its casing, his fingers deftly removing the Talaxian AI core from the ancient artifact. Zorgax, his eyes wild with rage at being denied ultimate power, lunged at Adam, a plasma blade flashing from his gauntlet. The two warriors clashed in a deadly dance, Zorgax's blade sizzling against Adam's armored forearms as they exchanged blows. Across the chamber, Jack hauled himself to his feet, every movement sending shards of pain through his battered body. He staggered to the control room, his vision blurring as he scanned the console. There, the lockdown switch. He slammed his fist down, and a klaxon blared as blast doors sealed the facility. Zorgax was trapped, but so were they. In the heart of the battle, Zorgax's blade locked against Adam's, their faces inches apart. "You're too late, human," Zorgax sneered. "My warships are already hunting your precious council. When they burn, the galaxy will be mine." Adam's blood ran cold. He surged forward, breaking the blade lock and launching into a flurry of strikes. His human martial arts pitted against Zorgax's alien savagery. They traded blows in a blur of motion, sparks flying as armor clashed against blade. Zorgax's eyes flicked to the orb, and Adam saw his intent a heartbeat before he moved. The warlord spun, plasma blade arcing towards the artifact, trying to overload it and consume them both in a cataclysmic blast. But Adam was faster. His phase shift engaged, and he passed through the blade, through the orb itself, until his fist materialized in Zorgax's chest, wrapped around the alien's twisting heart. The warlord convulsed, shock and agony etched on his face, then crumpled to the floor. Adam stared down at his fallen foe, then retrieved the orb and AI core, sealing them in a containment device. Jack's voice crackled over the comm, strained but alive. "Adam, I've got Ixos and Zax on the line. We need to move now." Minutes later, they were aboard the Phantom, racing away from Xandar Prime. Adam slumped in his seat, his mind reeling from the orb's knowledge, from the sheer immensity of the power he'd touched. "I know where Zorgax's fleet is," he said hoarsely. "The orb showed me, but we'll never reach the Council in time to warn them." Ixos leaned forward, his eyes hard. "Then we bring the fight to Zorgax. We end this here and now." Adam met his gaze, saw the determination mirrored there. He thought of the billions of lives at stake, of the trust the Council had placed in him, in all of them. He punched in the coordinates, the Phantom's engines roaring to life. They were battered, bleeding, but unbroken, and they were the galaxy's last hope. As the stars blurred into the swirling vortex of FTL, Adam clenched his fist, feeling the weight of destiny upon him. One last mission, one final stand. For Earth, for the Council, for every soul in the galaxy. The SS Phantom shuddered as a barrage of plasma fire slammed into its shields. Krax's warships swarmed around them like angry hornets, their weapons hammering at the human vessel with relentless fury. In the cockpit, Zax gripped the controls, his knuckles white as he jinked and rolled to evade the onslaught. "Shields at 30%, he shouted over the scream of straining engines. "We can't take much more of this." Ixos hunched over his console, his fingers flying across the interface. "I'm in their comms," he said, his voice tight with concentration. "Krax is planning to use a wormhole generator to jump straight to the Council's doorstep." Adam's blood ran cold. They had to stop Krax, no matter the cost. "Zax, take us in close to the flagship," he ordered. "Ixos, see if you can disrupt their shields. Jack and I are going to pay Krax a personal visit." As Zax angled the Phantom towards the looming bulk of Krax's ship, Adam and Jack raced to the teleporter bay. They strapped on their armor, checking weapons and equipment with practiced efficiency. "Just like old times, eh?" Jack grinned, slamming a fresh power cell into his rifle. Adam nodded, his face grim. "Let's make sure Krax regrets the day he crossed us." The deck lurched beneath their feet as the Phantom dodged and weaved through the storm of laser fire. Ixos's voice crackled over the comm. "Shields disrupted. You've got your window." Adam and Jack stepped onto the teleporter pad, the air crackling with energy as the device powered up. In a flash of blinding light, they vanished, reappearing an instant later on the bridge of Krax's ship. Chaos erupted as the Talaxians reacted to the sudden intrusion. Adam and Jack moved like a well-oiled machine, their weapons spitting plasma as they cut through the enemy ranks. Talaxian soldiers fell, but more surged forward to take their place, their own weapons blazing. At the center of the maelstrom stood Krax, a massive plasma cannon in his hands. The Talaxian commander roared with fury as he leveled the weapon at the humans, the cannon's barrel glowing white-hot. Adam and Jack scattered, taking cover behind consoles and bulkheads as the cannon's blast tore through the bridge. Molten metal sprayed the air, consoles exploding in showers of sparks and debris. "Ixos, talk to me," Adam shouted into his comm, ducking as another cannon blast seared overhead. "What's the status on that wormhole?" Ixos's voice was strained, shot through with static. "Generators powering up fast. Coordinates locked on the Council HQ. We've got minutes at best." Adam's mind raced, desperately seeking a solution. His gaze fell on a fallen Talaxian, the soldier's plasma cannon lying beside his motionless body. A plan formed in his mind, a desperate gamble. He lunged for the cannon, snatching it up and rolling to his feet. Krax saw him, swinging his own weapon to bear, but Adam was already moving. He activated his phase shift, the world blurring around him as he charged straight at the Talaxian commander. Krax's cannon fire passed harmlessly through Adam's incorporeal form, the human closing the distance in heartbeats. As he reached Krax, Adam phased back into solidity, the barrel of his cannon pressed against the Talaxian's chest. Krax's eyes widened in shock and fear, his finger tightening on his cannon's trigger. But Adam was faster. He pulled the trigger, the cannon bucking in his hands as a searing bolt of plasma erupted from the barrel, punching clean through Krax's body. The Talaxian commander convulsed, his own cannon clattering to the deck as he crumpled. Around the bridge, the surviving Talaxians threw down their weapons, hands raised in surrender. With Krax's lifeless body slumped over the sparking remains of the plasma cannon, Adam and Jack sprinted through the smoke-filled corridors of the flagship, their boots pounding against the metal deck. The wormhole generator lay ahead, its pulsing energy signature growing stronger with each passing second. "Ixos, we're approaching the generator room," Adam barked into his comm, his breath coming in short, sharp bursts. "What's your status on hacking the security system?" The Talaxian's voice crackled through the static, strained and frustrated. "No good, Adam. The encryption is too complex. I can't bypass it remotely." Adam and Jack skidded to a halt before the massive blast doors, their weapons trained on the reinforced metal. The control panel blinked an angry red, denying them access. "Damn it," Adam growled, his mind racing. They were running out of time. The wormhole could open at any moment, unleashing Zorgax's forces on the unsuspecting council. His gaze fell to the Nexus orb, secure in its containment device on his belt. The artifact seemed to pulse with a life of its own, as if sensing his thoughts. "I have an idea," he said, his voice grim. "I'm going to use the orb to overload the generator's power core." Jack's eyes widened, his grip tightening on his rifle. "Adam, are you insane? We barely contained that thing last time, and you nearly fried your brain in the process." Adam shook his head, his jaw clenched with determination. "We don't have a choice, Jack. It's the only way to stop the generator in time." He reached for the orb, but Jack's hand shot out, gripping his wrist. "Let me do it," he said, his voice low and intense. "You've already taken too many risks." Adam met his friend's gaze, saw the concern and loyalty burning there, but he knew what had to be done. "No, Jack, it has to be me. I'm the only one who can control the orb's power now, thanks to my little mind meld earlier." Jack hesitated, then nodded, releasing Adam's wrist. "All right, but I've got your back if anything goes wrong." "It won't," Adam said, mustering a confident grin he didn't quite feel. "Now let's blow this thing and go home." They took up positions on either side of the blast doors, Jack's finger hovering over the manual release. Adam closed his eyes, focusing his mind on the orb, feeling its power coursing through him like an electric current. "Now!" he shouted, and Jack slammed his fist down on the release. The doors ground open, revealing a cavernous chamber dominated by the wormhole generator, a swirling vortex of exotic energy. Adam charged forward, the orb clutched in his outstretched hand, its light casting eerie shadows on the walls. He reached out with his mind, tapping into the artifact's immense energy, channeling it towards the generator's pulsing core. The orb flared brightly, its power surging through Adam's body like a raging torrent, threatening to sweep him away. Gritting his teeth, Adam pushed forward, every step an effort as the generator's containment field fought against the orb's onslaught. The core began to flicker and distort, reality itself warping around its edges. Suddenly, a hail of plasma fire erupted from the far side of the chamber. A squad of Talaxian soldiers burst through a hidden door, their weapons spitting deadly energy as they sought to protect the generator. Jack leapt into action, his rifle barking as he dove for cover behind a bank of consoles. Plasma bolts sizzled through the air, scorching the walls and floor around him as he returned fire, his aim true and lethal. Adam staggered under the onslaught, his concentration wavering as the orb's power fluctuated wildly. The generator's core began to destabilize, tendrils of energy lashing out like whips, tearing through metal and flesh alike. A searing bolt of pain lanced through Adam's skull as the orb's presence surged within him, threatening to consume his very being. He could feel his grip on reality slipping, his mind drowning in the artifact's ancient alien power. With a final desperate surge of will, Adam unleashed the full might of the orb into the generator's core, a blinding flash of light erupting from the point of contact. The core detonated in a cataclysmic explosion, a wave of searing heat and concussive force, radiating outward like the birth of a new star. Adam felt himself flying backwards, his body ragdolling through the air like a discarded puppet. Dimly through the haze of pain and disorientation, he saw Jack lunging towards him, his hand outstretched, a small device clutched in his grip. The world dissolved into a swirling maelstrom of light and color as Jack's emergency teleporter activated, ripping them from the heart of the explosion and hurling them back to the safety of the Phantom. Behind them, the generator and a massive section of Krax's flagship vanished in a blinding conflagration of energy and debris. As the Phantom rocked and shuddered under the force of the shockwave, Adam and Jack lay sprawled on the deck, their armor scorched and battered, their bodies pushed to the brink of human endurance. But even as darkness closed in around the edges of his vision, Adam felt a fierce surge of triumph. The Phantom drifted through the void, its hull scorched and battered from the desperate battle against Krax's forces. In the ship's cramped med bay, Adam winced as Ixos applied a dermal regenerator to a deep gash on his forearm, the wound a stark reminder of how close they had come to failure. "We cut it damn close back there," Jack said, his voice tight with exhaustion as he tinkered with a damaged power relay. "But we did it. Zorgax's plans are dust, and the Council is safe." Adam nodded, flexing his freshly healed arm. "For now, but this fight is far from over." As if on cue, the comm system crackled to life, High Commander Uko's holographic visage flickering into view. The Talaxian's face was drawn, his eyes haunted. "Adam, we have a situation," Uko said, his voice grave. "The destruction of Krax's flagship has sparked chaos among the Talaxian people. They believe the Council is moving to eradicate our entire race." Adam frowned, leaning forward. "But that's not true. Zorgax was the threat, not the Council." "I know that, and you know that. But centuries of tension and mistrust are not easily erased. If we cannot convince the Talaxian Assembly of the truth, we may be facing a full-scale war." The weight of Uko's words hung heavy in the air. Adam exchanged a glance with his team, seeing the same grim realization in their eyes. They had stopped one catastrophe only to stumble into another. "What do you need us to do?" Adam asked, his jaw set. "Travel to Talax Prime. Meet with the Assembly. present the evidence of Zorgax's treachery, convince them that the Council acted to protect us all, not to harm the Talaxian people. Adam nodded, his mind already racing with the challenges ahead. We'll leave immediately. As the comlink faded, Ixos turned to the others, his fingers flying across his console. I'll start decrypting the data we pulled from Krax's ship. If there's proof of Zorgax's plans in there, we'll find it. Zax and Jack exchanged a look, an unspoken agreement passing between them. We'll tap our contacts, see what intel we can gather on the mood among the Talaxians. The more we know going in, the better our chances. Adam felt a surge of pride as he watched his team spring into action, their weariness forgotten in the face of this new mission. They were battered and bruised, but unbroken. The Phantom tore through the stars, the glittering world of Talax Prime growing larger in the view screen. Ixos hunched over his console, lines of data reflecting in his eyes as he pored over the decrypted files. Fragments of Zorgax's schemes, snippets of his vicious rhetoric, all painting a picture of a madman bent on destruction. Zax and Jack huddled in the corner, their voices low as they traded scraps of information, gleaned from a dozen shady sources. Whispers of anger and fear among the Talaxian populace, of factions jockeying for power in the wake of Krax's demise. As they made their final approach, a squadron of Talaxian fighters fell into formation around the Phantom, their movements sharp and wary. Adam's fingers tightened on the controls, keenly aware of the weapons locked on his ship. The Phantom settled onto the landing pad with a hiss of hydraulics, the air shimmering with the heat of its engines. Adam led his team down the ramp, squinting in the harsh sunlight. A phalanx of Talaxian guards awaited them, their faces hard and their weapons at the ready. "Adam Hicks," the lead guard said, his voice clipped. "The Assembly will see you now, but know this. Any sign of treachery, any hint of a threat, and you will be dealt with swiftly." Adam met the guard's gaze unflinching. "We're here to prevent a war, not start one." "You have some nerve coming here," Varkon said, his voice echoing in the chamber. "After what your council has done, the devastation you've wrought." Adam stepped forward, meeting Varkon's gaze. "Prime Minister, I understand your anger and your fear, but you have been misled. The Council acted to stop a threat to us all, a threat orchestrated by the traitor Zorgax." Varkon leaned back, his expression skeptical. "A convenient story. But why should we believe you? The Council has always viewed the Talaxians as lesser, as a problem to be managed." Adam shook his head, his voice earnest. "That is not true. The Council values all races, all peoples. Zorgax's actions were his own, driven by a lust for power and a hatred for all who opposed him." He gestured to Ixos, who stepped forward with a data pad. "We have evidence pulled from the wreckage of Krax's ship, logs, recordings, all confirming Zorgax's treachery." Varkon took the data pad, his eyes scanning the information, his brow furrowed. For a long moment the chamber was silent save for the hum of machinery and the distant thrum of starship engines. Finally Varkon looked up, his expression unreadable. "This evidence is compelling, but centuries of mistrust are not easily forgotten. The scars left by the Council's past actions run deep." Adam met Varkon's gaze, his voice steady. "Prime Minister, I know that trust must be earned, but I also know that we stand on the precipice of a conflict that could consume us all. Let this be the moment where we choose a different path, where we begin to build a new future, together." Varkon was silent for a long moment, the weight of history heavy on his shoulders. Then slowly he rose to his feet. "You speak of trust, of cooperation, but these are not easy things, not after so much pain and suspicion. If we are to walk this path, it must be with open eyes and a willingness to confront the shadows of our past." Adam's words hung in the air, the weight of history pressing down on the chamber. Varkon leaned forward, his eyes searching Adam's face. He opened his mouth to speak. A sudden explosion rocked the building, the force of the blast shattering windows and sending the Assembly members diving for cover. Alarms blared as armed Talaxian guards rushed into the room, their weapons drawn. "Prime Minister," the lead guard shouted over the chaos. The building is under attack. Extremists loyal to Zorgax have breached the perimeter. Adam and his team were already moving, their combat instincts kicking in. Ixos sprinted to the chamber's control panel, his fingers flying across the interface. "Seal in the doors!" he yelled. "That should hold them off." Zax and Jack charged out into the hallway, their weapons at the ready. They were met by a hail of plasma fire as a group of Talaxian radicals rounded the corner, their faces twisted with hate and determination. Jack dove behind a pillar, his rifle barking as he returned fire. Zax, his movements a blur, closed the distance in seconds, his cybernetic enhancements giving him an edge in close quarters. He slammed into the extremists, his fists and feet a whirlwind of precise strikes that sent the attackers crumpling to the ground. Back in the assembly chamber, Adam scanned the room, his eyes falling on a young Talaxian who stood apart from the others, his face a mask of anger and confusion. Adam recognized him from the intel they'd gathered. Kyrix, a rising star in the extremist movement. Adam approached Kyrix, his hands raised in a gesture of peace. "Kyrix, listen to me," he said, his voice calm but urgent. "Zorgax has been lying to you, to all of you. He doesn't care about the Talaxian people, only about his own power." Kyrix's eyes narrowed, his hand tightening on his weapon. "Why should I believe you, human? The Council has always looked down on us, treated us as lesser beings." Adam shook his head. "That's not true. Look at the evidence we've uncovered." He gestured to Ixos, who brought up a holographic display of the data they'd found on Krax's ship. Zorgax was willing to sacrifice thousands of Talaxian lives to further his own ambitions. He used you, manipulated you. Suddenly a second explosion tore through the chamber, blasting a hole in the wall and sending chunks of debris flying. Adam reacted on instinct, tackling Varkon to the ground and shielding the Prime Minister with his own body as shards of metal and stone rained down around them. Adam met Varkon's gaze, his own eyes fierce with determination. "I'm here to help, Prime Minister, we all are, but we can only do that if we work together, if we trust each other." Varkon nodded slowly, a new understanding dawning in his eyes. Around them, the other assembly members began to stir, their expressions shifting from fear and suspicion to something else, something that looked like hope. Adam turned to face the assembly, his voice ringing out clear and strong. "This attack was an attempt to divide us, to breed fear and mistrust, but we cannot let that happen. The Talaxian people and the Galactic Council must stand together, must face the challenges of the future as one. Only then can we hope to build a better tomorrow, a tomorrow of peace and prosperity for all." The assembly members, human and Talaxian alike, stood tall, their differences forgotten in the face of this shared vision. The road ahead would not be easy, Adam knew, but they would walk it together, united by a common cause and an unbreakable bond of trust. Moved by Adam's impassioned plea, Varkon and the Talaxian assembly members exchanged glances, a new understanding dawning in their eyes. Slowly, Varkon stepped forward, his hand outstretched. "Adam Hicks, you have shown us the truth of your intentions and the depth of your commitment to peace. The Talaxian people are ready to open a dialogue with the Galactic Council to work towards a future of cooperation and understanding." As a gesture of goodwill, Varkon insisted on personally escorting Adam and his team back to the Council headquarters, accompanied by a delegation of Talaxian diplomats. The joint human-Talaxian convoy set out, a shining example of the new alliance forged in the wake of Zorgax's defeat. On the bridge of the Phantom, Adam gripped the console, his eyes wide with shock. "Report!" he barked, his voice tight with urgency. Ixos, his fingers flying across the sensors, shook his head in disbelief. "It's a remnant of Zorgax's fleet, led by a Talaxian warship. Their stealth tech is advanced. I can't get a lock on them." Another volley of fire raked across the convoy, a Talaxian diplomatic ship vanishing in a blaze of shattered metal. Adam's jaw clenched, his mind racing. They couldn't fight an enemy they couldn't see. Suddenly a hail crackled across the comm. the voice cold and filled with zealous rage. "This is Admiral Zaxxon of the Talaxian Liberation Fleet. Surrender now or face annihilation. Zorgax's vision will be realized, and all who oppose us will burn." Adam's eyes narrowed. Zaxxon, one of Zorgax's most fanatical followers. He should have known the warlord's influence wouldn't die so easily. Varkon's face appeared on the view screen, his expression grim. "Adam, Zaxxon's ship is equipped with our most advanced stealth technology. Your council forces won't be able to track or target him effectively." An idea sparked in Adam's mind, desperate and daring. He turned to Varkon, his voice urgent. "Prime Minister, I have a plan. If you can provide me with a stealth shuttle and a team of your best warriors, Jack and I can infiltrate Zaxxon's ship and disable the stealth systems from within. It's risky, but it may be our only chance." Varkon hesitated for only a moment, then nodded, resolve hardening his features. "I will have my finest warriors meet you in the hangar bay. Take my personal stealth shuttle. It's the most advanced we have. Bring Zaxxon to justice, Adam. End this madness." Minutes later, Adam and Jack stood in the Phantom's hangar, a sleek Talaxian stealth shuttle powering up before them. A dozen elite Talaxian warriors, clad in advanced combat armor, snapped to attention as they approached. Jack grinned, slapping a fresh power cell into his rifle. "Just like old times, eh? Boarding actions and daring missions." Adam allowed himself a small smile. "Let's hope this one goes a little smoother than the last." As the shuttle launched, the chaos of the battle surrounded them, energy blasts and explosions lighting the void. Adam's hands flew over the controls, guiding the craft through the maelstrom with deft skill. They approached Zaxxon's ship, its sleek lines and powerful weapons a stark contrast to the battered convoy ships. The stealth field shimmered around them, masking their approach as they glided silently towards the enemy's hull. With a soft thunk, the shuttle latched onto the warship's airlock, the Talaxian warriors readying their weapons as the pressure equalized. Adam met Jack's gaze, a silent understanding passing between them. Then, with a hiss of hydraulics, the airlock doors slid open and they charged into the fray. Plasma fire filled the corridors as Zaxxon's soldiers reacted to the intrusion. The Talaxian warriors responding with deadly precision. Adam and Jack wove through the chaos, their weapons spitting death as they advanced towards the bridge. Bulkheads shattered, consoles exploded, the air thick with the scent of ozone and scorched metal. Step by step they fought their way through the hordes of fanatical soldiers, the Talaxian warriors proving their worth with each passing moment. At last they stood before the bridge doors, the final barrier between them and Zaxxon. Adam nodded to Jack, who slapped a breaching charge against the reinforced metal. The explosion tore through the doors, smoke billowing as they stormed into the command center. Zaxxon stood at the center of the bridge, his face twisted with hatred and rage. His elite guard, clad in heavy armor and wielding vicious energy halberds, formed a wall of death before him. "Surrender, Zaxxon!" Adam shouted, his rifle trained on the Admiral's chest. "It's over. Zorgax is dead, his plans in ruins. Lay down your arms and let us end this conflict peacefully." Zaxxon spat, his eyes burning with zealous fire. "Zorgax's vision will never die. I will see the Galactic Council burn, and the Talaxian people will rise from the ashes to claim their rightful place as masters of the galaxy." As the fierce battle raged on the bridge of Zaxxon's warship, the fanatical admiral realized he was outmatched. In a desperate last stand, he slammed his fist onto a hidden control panel, his eyes wild with zealous fury. "If I cannot have victory, then none shall." His robotic voice echoed through the ship, cold and uncaring. "Self-destruct sequence initiated. Total destruction in T-5 minutes." Red warning lights flashed and alarms blared as the vessel began to tear itself apart from within, explosions rippling through its decks. Adam turned to his team, his face grim. "We need to move, now!" They raced through the shuddering corridors, dodging falling debris and sparking consoles. Along the way they encountered a group of Talaxian prisoners, their faces gaunt and haunted. Jack quickly shot off their restraints. "Come on, we're getting you out of here." The hangar bay was a scene of chaos. the deck shaking beneath their feet. The Talaxian stealth shuttle sat waiting, its engines humming with power. But as they approached, a massive bulkhead groaned and collapsed, tons of twisted metal slamming down between Adam and the rest of the group. Jack skidded to a halt, his eyes wide. "Adam!" Through a gap in the debris, Adam met his friend's gaze. The deck shuddered again, the ship's death throes growing more violent by the second. There was no time to find another way around. Adam's voice was steady, resigned. "Go, Jack, get the others to safety. You have to let the galaxy know the truth about Zorgax and the Talaxians." Jack hesitated, his heart wrenching, but he knew Adam was right. With a final nod, he ushered the Talaxians and the rest of the team onto the shuttle. As the hatch sealed, he looked back one last time, his eyes shining with unshed tears. Adam watched the shuttle launch, a sense of peace washing over him. He had done his duty. The truth would be known. He turned to face the oncoming destruction, the ship shuddering and buckling around him. Zaxxon's ship exploded in a brilliant flash of light, a miniature sun blooming in the void. The shockwave slammed into the surrounding ships, sending them reeling. On the bridges of the Talaxian vessels, the officers watched in stunned disbelief as their leader's warship vanished in a conflagration of plasma and debris. Like a house of cards, their resolve crumbled. The Talaxian ships broke formation, fleeing into the void as the Council fleet pressed their advantage. It was a victory, but a costly one. The stealth shuttle bearing Jack and the Talaxian delegation docked at the Council headquarters, their faces somber. High Commander Uko met them personally, his eyes heavy with the weight of days. In the Grand Chamber of the Council, they presented their evidence, the records of Zorgax's betrayal, the testimonies of the Talaxian prisoners, the censor logs of the battle. The Talaxian diplomats stepped forward, their voices humble and sincere as they expressed their desire for peace, for a new beginning. The council members listened, their faces a mix of sorrow and hope. They all felt the absence of Adam keenly, a void that could never be filled. But they knew his sacrifice had not been in vain. In a solemn ceremony, the council posthumously awarded Adam their highest honor, the Star of Unity. As Jack accepted the gleaming medal on behalf of his fallen friend, he felt the weight of Adam's legacy settling onto his shoulders. The Talaxians, humbled and chastened by their experiences, by the selfless actions of Adam and his team, set forth on a new path. They would work tirelessly to forge bonds of trust and cooperation with the other races of the galaxy, determined to build a future of peace and understanding. And as Jack looked out at the sea of faces, human and alien alike, he knew that this was Adam's true legacy. A galaxy united, 1,000 worlds working as one. The legacy of a single human who had given everything to protect and serve. It was a legacy that would endure, shining bright, a beacon of hope for generations to come. Though Adam was gone, his spirit lived on in the hearts and minds of all those he had touched, and the galaxy would never be the same. You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.